Hello, it's day 3, it's Wednesday of my holiday, and today I've come to Portmerion, somewhere that I've always wanted to visit, and to be quite honest is probably the reason why I'm in this area anyway. It's cost me £20 today, various concessions if you're with children, family tickets. As I discovered last night when I was doing some research, it is also the setting for a 60s programme called The Prisoner. I tried to watch the first episode of The Prisoner last night, but my internet wasn't good enough. It just kept buffering, but it certainly gave me a taste of what I'm going to see, and I think after visiting here and I get back onto some proper Wi-Fi, I'll definitely be watching that. So come on, let's get in there. It's so beautiful. All the different colours. There's some music. I do. I feel like I'm in a Disney theme park. This place is just so quirky. It's amazing. Portmeirion was created by Welsh architect Clough Williams Ellis from 1925 to 1976 to show how a naturally beautiful site could be developed without spoiling it. Portmerion Village and Gardens is one of Wales' premier visitor attractions, welcoming over 200,000 visitors every year. Portmerion was built in 2 stages from 1925 to 1939 and then again in 1954 to 1976. The Portmerion village was also the backdrop for the 1960s cult classic series The Prisoner, starring Patrick McGoohan. When I say this place is breathtaking, I mean it is just so wacky, wild, beautiful, and around every corner there's just a beautiful view. The views over the estuary were absolutely stunning. I was lucky enough to be there on a beautiful day, and you can see how the sky is being reflected in the water.
Hang on a sec. I'll tell you a second, hang on. Yeah.
Portmerion, well worth a visit. A lot smaller than I imagined, but it's the sort of place where you just have to stop, linger and take it all in, because the attention to detail everywhere was amazing. Totally recommend it. Pwllheli, or I think so. This seems to be some sort of harbour. I'm going to have to go and see what else Pwllheli has to hold. Last time I was here, I was about 11, so I've got no recollection of the place at all. And to be honest, it was very confusing walking through town, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to find here. But it was a wish to come here for all time's sake sort of thing. Let's hope it was worth the trip. I'm afraid Pwllheli High Street is very disappointing. Lots of boarded up and shut businesses. Certainly not as happening as Portmeirion, but I have found a little market, so it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? Well, just 15 minutes down the coast and I'm in Abersoch, and it's a totally different vibe. You know, fat face, white stuff shops, lots and lots of really nice eateries. But I'm going to go and try and find the beach, because that's where I came. Honestly, Wales, can you sort your signage out, please? Because it's really not very good. Abersoch Beach. Beautiful. So still. I guess the tide is out. I just love the sound of the waves. So beautiful. This was recommended as a good sea glass beach. So I've had to come up to the water's edge where there's lots and lots of shells. But will I find any sea glass? Let me turn you around. Look how many shells there are. Lots and lots and lots of shells. But I'm not hopeful of finding any sea glass, I'm afraid. But I'm going to look now. I don't know if you can see it. The sun's glinting on it. That is Pwllheli Beach over there, which I couldn't get to because it was over some sand dunes and I was going to have to park again. But it certainly does look a very impressive beach from over here. But this one's not too shabby either. Okay. Some really beautiful multicoloured little huts there. Playing chicken with the waves. I'm looking, but there's no sea glass here. So I'm just going to walk along a little bit more, and then I'm going to head back to the car and back to the caravan. It's been an absolutely amazing day out today. I've ticked off a couple of things. I thought I'd just do Portmerion, but I was so enthused and so enthusiastic, and the weather has held off so beautifully. I thought I have to make the most of the day. So I'm feeling quite exhausted. Just gonna have this last smooch, then go back and have a nice cosy evening in. I hope you've enjoyed my day in North Wales. Not sure you can hear me above the noise of that raging water there, but I am in, gonna put it down on the screen so I don't butcher it, the village where Lloyd George, our Prime Minister in the early 1900s, was born, and going by that sign is also buried. But I am on my way to the Lloyd George Museum to hear more about him, because although I'd heard of him, don't really know much about him. So join me as I have a little bit of a mooch. So here's a picture of all the details you would like to know, and where I am. I'm not going to risk pronouncing that. Very impressive gates, and I presume it's a dragon. So yes, let's get in and see what the museum is all about. The only time I'm going to get to go in through number 10, that's for sure. So Lloyd George basically went from this small cottage in a very small Welsh village to number 10. A great achievement. So if you are in the area of this village here that is in between the mountains and the coast near Creith, obviously make the visit, because I have been more richly educated at the Lloyd George Museum than ever I did in a history lesson. Though I must admit, at 58, I'm probably more receptive to learning facts and figures and have an interest in history than I was possibly when I was 12. So loved it here. I'm so glad that I visited. So I'll just insert a few highlights now of what to expect at the museum. A few interactive items, fantastic film, and it was just amazing to actually go into the family home where he lived and where he grew up and get a feeling for where he came from. So that's it. I am going to be calling into Creith on the way back. I hope I said that properly, because my knee's not too bad and I just don't want this holiday to be over. I want to fit in as much as possible, and unfortunately I'm home tomorrow, so I want to go and have another walk on the beach. I'm in Creith, where Lloyd George started his work to be a lawyer at the age of 16. I'm down on the beach, Creith. A rather nice multicoloured row of houses behind me, and an even older house up there, the castle of Creith. But I'm going to have a look on this beach. Again, recommended to be a sea glass beach. I think this has got much more potential. Wish me luck. I'm going to spend a while having a good mooch around here now and listen to the sound of the sea. If I was to have a guess, I doubt you can see, but there's a strip of golden sand over there, and that's probably Black Rock Sands beach where I'm staying. And further up there, that's where I was yesterday, Pwllheli and Abersoc, and then goes down to the top tip of the Llyn Peninsula. Let's get hunting. So I have managed to find one piece of sea glass. It's going to be slim pickings here. It's certainly not just ripe for the looking here, that is for sure. I'm used to much better beaches. I wouldn't say this has got any great age, because you can see the edges there are still shiny. It hasn't been in the sea long enough. It's not, as they would say, cooked. So I'm afraid, throw it back and hopefully find it in 5 years' time when it is cooked. So considering I didn't have high expectations today because I felt my knee was playing me up a little bit, I've persevered and made the most of the holiday. Had a fantastic time, surprisingly, at the Lloyd George Museum and having a mooch along Creith Beach. But for now, it's time for me to go back to the caravan, have my evening meal, cosy up, watch maths, and do my packing ready for tomorrow, my last day going home tomorrow.